Let's focus on the situation in Thailand, where hundreds of people backing the king have marched on parliament to oppose calls from anti-government protesters for changes to the constitution. The National Assembly has been meeting to consider amending the constitution. That special session of parliament was convened after nearly 2 months of protests from those who do want the changes. The protests that started back in July and have gathered tens of thousands of people come after a series of political scandals, including the forced disbanding of the main opposition party. Well, for more on the situation in Thailand, I'm joined by our international affairs editor, Philip Turle. Philip, first of all, tell us, what are the protesters' main demands?
Well, they want a big constitutional shake-up in Thailand, and there are two hate figures as far as the leaders of the country are concerned. The first one is the Prime Minister, Prayut Chan-o-cha, who that's him just behind me, has been running the country since 2014, and he was the man who led the military coup that took over the running of the country back then. They say that they want fresh elections and they want constitutional change. And there's another person who they also want to see bring in some changes, and that is the King of Thailand, whose name is Maha Vajiralongkorn. That's him. And they say that there is not enough clarity as far as the royal family is concerned. For example, the King of Thailand, Jeannie, is the richest monarch in the world with an estimated fortune of 43 billion US dollars. He holds the world's biggest diamond in one of the royal crowns and has money invested in property and land and banks. And they say there's not enough openness about the way the royal family is using its money and earning its money, and they want all that to change. And they, above all, want a law which is called the 112 law, 112, to be abolished, and that is the law that can put you in prison for 15 years if you are caught criticising the monarchy. So there are three demands in all. The first one is fresh and fair elections. The second one is an overhaul of the monarchy. And the third one is the holding of a general strike in Thailand, which is due to be held or being called for the 14th of October. Why the 14th of October? That is the anniversary date of 1973, when there was an uprising by students which overthrew the military government running Thailand at the time.
So how are the authorities responding to these demands, and what are the chances the protesters will actually get what they want?
Well, if you look back at Thai history, you'll see there have been many occasions when there have been bloody crackdowns with dozens of people killed in Thailand when there is an uprising against military authority there. This time round, these have been long protests since July, some of the longest in modern Thai history. And so far, they've been peaceful. The police have not intervened. The military has not been sent in to put down the protesters. The protesters put up barricades. What the police are doing is making sure that the protesters don't overrun royal buildings or government buildings. It's been peaceful up until then. The protesters know that they are in it for the long run. They're not going to get these changes rapidly. They're willing to sit it out. So there's been an extraordinary scene this week where you've seen a petition written and signed by the protesters for the Privy Council, which is part of the Royal Privy Council. They wanted to hand it in directly, but the police wouldn't let them. But the head of the police said, I will hand it in. And there's an image of the protester handing this letter over to the head of the police, who said he will then hand it in. That is something that you would not have seen before. So just quickly to answer the other part of your question, how far is this going to go? Well, nobody knows. There are counter demonstrations taking place by royalists in Thailand. You've got two forces that don't see eye to eye. Those who want the country to move forward, they say the country isn't moving forward, and those who want the status quo to continue, they want the royalists, the royal family, to remain as it is. Which one will win? We don't know. It's the protesters wanting change who have the momentum at the moment. Be interesting to see how long this can carry on for. It's been going since July. There are more of them. Will they continue that way? Well, we'll have to wait and see.
Philip, thanks for that. France 24's Philip Turle.